There are major new developments in the controversial plan to offer 3D printed guns to the public. A federal judge in Seattle has issued a temporary restraining order to stop the release of the blueprints for those plastic homemade guns.
It's our big story on 12 News at 6. Team 12's Joe Dana joins us to verify whether the guns would be legal anyway and has reaction from local law enforcement on the controversy. Joe?
The Trump administration had decided last month in court not to fight a 3D gun company from making the blueprints available. On the eve of those blueprints, well, they would be considered legal to download. A judge said not so fast. Reaction from Maricopa County Sheriff Paul Penzone this afternoon after he learned a federal judge has delayed what could be a new era of hard plastic homemade guns in the U.S.
Oh, I'm thankful for that. And my hope is now that this turns into a conversation, and a conversation that is thoughtful and takes into consideration the Second Amendment protections as well as the First Amendment, but public safety is the #1 priority.
Penzone has entered the national debate on 3D gun manufacturing, standing out in Arizona, where the state's attorney general did not join. Other attorneys general nationwide filing a lawsuit this week.
Well, I guess I'm representing Arizona as I stand here, Maricopa County Sheriff, and say that I will not go quietly into the night on this issue. I will speak to it with passion, not from a place that is emotional, but a place that is about being a law enforcement leader.
One major concern about plastic manufactured guns, they wouldn't be detectable in traditional metal detectors. And in fact, 12 News can verify an entirely plastic gun wouldn't be legal anyways. A 1988 Firearms Act makes it illegal to manufacture, possess, or sell any firearm with major components that do not generate an accurate image before standard airport imaging technology. Okay, so what's next? The gun company involved has filed its own suit alleging harassment on this. And this is once again an issue for the courts. Now, if you have a story that you would like us to verify, let us know about it. You can email your idea to verify@12news.com. Guys, we'll send it over back to you.
All right, Joe, thanks.